Thanks, Nandip, for providing this opportunity on the Global Azure Pune 2023 forum. So this is the second time I'm talking in the Global Azure Forum, and I used to give a lot of sessions every month to the Pune tech community. So Nandip and the other organizers are more helpful, and I welcome all the participants who have joined this part of this Global Azure Pune 2023. So you'll get a lot of insights as well as a lot of learnings from this Global Azure Pune 2023. So, and our major topic is unveiling the potential of applied AI applications with Azure Cosmos DB. So, this is a topic I have proposed for this Global Azure Forum. Let me introduce myself. So, I am Janarthanan Selvaraj. I am a technical manager as well as senior specialist at Evident. And I'm a part of this Microsoft certified trainer for 3 times. So I am the author as well as publisher in terms of publishing the blogs, as well as I'm a personal contributor. And currently I'm holding 15 multi-cloud certifications. So this is about me. Any help related to Azure as well as your AI, you can always feel free to reach out to me, and you can scan my QR code as well. So this is our actual agenda of this Global Azure 2023. First, we will discuss about the applied AI services. Under applied AI services, we'll discuss more in detail about the Form Recognizer, which is a OCR tool, followed by Azure Cosmos DB. And we will take one use case, which is the Accelerator Building, the end-to-end use case implementation, your Form Recognizer integrated with the Azure Cosmos DB. So during that Accelerator Building, will get integrated the applied AI service tool along with the Cosmos DB related to storage, related in terms of how to query that entire Cosmos DB. That is the overall agenda of this Global Azure. The first one will discuss about the Azure Applied AI services. What is the actual usage of this applied AI services, the overall usage, and what are the different conceptual formats are available as part of this Azure Applied AI services as concerned. First, we'll discuss what is this Azure Applied AI services. At a high level or in a nutshell, if I want to talk about this Azure Applied AI services, it is one of the high level services which is provided by the Microsoft Azure platform. And using this applied AI services, the developers will majorly focus on the value of data or unlocking the value of data over multiple services. And with that, we have already the scenario specific approach, how you are going to shift the scenario specific approach into out of box thinking approach. So usually whenever the developers started using this Azure applied AI services, what they used to do in the earlier days, if I want to orchestrate multiple workflows, they need multiple AI skills followed by the UI skills is required, as well as from starting from the development till the deployment, multiple people or multiple roles are involved. All those roles are scenario specific. So in this modern development, all the scenario specific role will be elevated or will be transformed into the out of box thinking approach with the help of the new AI tools or the new age AI tools available in the market. So with this, it will open a particular AI based value driven, which will benefit the complete humanity, as well as all your new age AI skills will become the key business for the entire AI development. So this is at high level about the applied AI services. So under this Azure Applied AI Services, we will be more focusing on the area which is the Form Recognizer tool. The Form Recognizer tool is one of the applied AI services. And this particular tool, which is used to generate as well as build the intelligent document processing. Your document processing, it could be from the receipt, or it could be from a PDF generation, or it could be invoice generation, or it could be your business card, or it can be your vaccination cards, or even it could be your any government ID proofs also. You can process it using various resources with the help of the intelligent document processing. And if I want to extract information from multiple documents, the form recognizer is one of the best service which is to use. And using this form recognizer, what we will do ideally, we will extract the data from unstructured content into the business ready structured content. That is a major usage of this Azure Form Recognizer Studio. So under this Azure Form Recognizer Studio, there are some built-in models available, as well as if you want to tailor your needs based upon your customer requirements, you can focus on the custom model. So under the custom model, if you want to extract the data from multiple data sources, and you want to tailor your needs based upon the customer requirements, we will be using the custom model. So under custom model, you have two classification. One, it is called as the template driven model. The other one, we can call it as the neural model. Yeah. So let's see the major benefits of using the template model, as well as the benefits of using the neural model, and which will be more apt in our latest businesses. We will decide accordingly. So what is the exact usage of this template model, or where you can apply this template model? For what type of data you can apply this template model? If you notice that the template model, it is applicable for all structured as well as form related data. Yeah. So these are the two categories where you can train your model for your structured data, as well as any form related data you want to train it. You can make use of this template model, because the overall training time to take the template model will be 5 minutes. The other usage, multiple languages it is supported in your template model. But when you go for the neural model, you will not get the multiple languages support. Only a specific language support will be applicable. And in terms of data extraction, what type of data you can extract from the template model? Like, you can extract a table related data, you can extract any key value pair, you can extract the selection marks, and you can extract even signature from PAN card, or even from your driving license also possible. From your any type of application related document, it is also possible. So this is a usual features of your the template model. And there are some of the features which is related to your neural model. What is a neural model related altogether is neural model which is able to train not only your structured data, even a semi-structured data, as well as your unstructured data, that is possible to train. But the overall training time, whenever you apply or build any neural model, it will take 1 hour time. So you can make a differences which model will be suitable for your application. You can decide based upon the data you have received from the customer. And if you notice the neural model, the only drawback is you have only one language support, which is the English language support only there as of now, till your new form recognizer studio features. And the data extraction part also, you may not able to extract any signature related document in terms of a neural model. Okay. So what we are going to demonstrate for our session, how will you train and test the data based upon your template model, rather your neural model. Okay. So without any further ado, we will start the demo part of this Azure Form Recognizer Studio. In the Azure Form Recognizer Studio, what I'm going to do, I'm going to train some of the data as well as we are going to test some of the documents. So for this Azure Form Recognizer Studio demo, what is the ideal thing which is required? The first one is you need to log into that the portal.azure.com. Afterwards, this particular demo will be split into two parts. One is you need the input data. So for the input data purpose, I'm going to create one storage account. The first and foremost thing, we should create a storage account. Just type storage account in the search bar. You'll be able to find the storage account. Under the storage account, we have to click the button create. Then afterwards, we have to choose a subscription and a resource group. I'm going to create a new resource group right now. Let me say it is a retail RG. So retail RG is my new resource group. I will provide a storage account name. Let's say global Azure 1305. And I've taken the region US and the performance is standard performance and the redundancy I've taken is global redundancy storage I have taken it. So with this, just hit the button review. Once the validation is passed, we may able to deploy this particular deployment in a minute or two. So just hit the button create. Once the deployment is created, we need to create after the storage account completion, we have to create a container. Inside the container, it could be a block container. I'm going to upload the PDF documents or different invoice documents. I'm going to upload it. So in a minute or two, this becomes successful. This is done. Just go to the resource. We need to create a container. Click container. I'm going to create a container. Just click the button plus. Then type the container. I'm creating a container as invoice container. Invoice container 13. So this is my container name. So let's upload the documents because for the form recognizer, we need minimum 5 documents to train. Just click the button upload. So I'm going to upload the 5 invoice document for the training purpose. The first part of our use case is done. So we have uploaded the 5 blobs, 5 documents. After that, the second step is we have to create a form recognizer service. So for form recognizer service, just type that form recognizer in the search bar. You'll be able to find the form recognizer tool. Because this form recognizer service is one of the applied AI services. I'm going to create a new form recognizer service. Just click the button create. So same thing, the first one we should choose a subscription and I have to tag it to a resource group. I'm tagging to retail RG. And we have to use the one of the region to deploy this resource. I'm deploying in East US and we have to provide a form recognizer service name. So I'm giving insurance form for 13. This is my form recognizer name. Afterwards, we have to choose the pricing tier. Okay, so I already choose one pricing tier. So I have only one pricing tier for this particular service, which is a standard pricing tier. Just choose this and hit the button review plus create. So once the form recognizer resource has been created, we'll open the form recognizer studio. From that, our storage account, those documents will be synced along with this form recognizer resource. So we will start labeling the fields so that the moment I started testing, it will automatically pick the relevant field from the document. So how that has been done, we will do in terms of the custom model, and under the custom model, we will be doing on the template model, because the template model, the training time to take those data, it is 5 minutes. It does not more than take much time. So the deployment is completed right away. Just go to the resource. That is fine. You need to open the Azure Form Recognizer Studio. Just hit the Form Recognizer Studio. Because this Form Recognizer Studio is one of the applied AI services. You have to sync this particular URL with your Azure account. Just sync this. I have synced it. My services. So the Form Recognizer Studio is ready now. So under this, we are not going to use any pre-built model. Okay. So we will be using the model which is called as this custom model. Under the custom model, we will be using the custom extraction path. Just click the button new. In this, we need to provide, just a second, it is loading. Okay. So under the custom extraction models, you can see there are two types are available. One is called as template based. Template based is custom form based. The other one is your neural document. So I'm going to choose a template based mod approach here. Just create create a project. I'll choose create project to continue. You have to choose a resource group subscription. Resource group is retail RG. And our resource name is insurance form. And you can choose a general availability API service. Continue. Now what will happen? We need to give that inputs data source. The input data source is your storage account. I'm going to specify retail RG. The storage account name is Global Azure 1305. And what is your blob container resource? The blob container source is your invoice container. And what is the folder path? It is root folder. Continue this. Afterward, just continue. Create a project. The form recognizer service will be ready in some time. The project is being created. And if you got any questions as of now? Okay. So all our invoice document is started populating in the labeling section. So just what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the layout. I'll run the layout for the current document. I'm going to do the labeling part, which is the tagging. So just add the field. I'll say invoice ID. I'll add one more field, which is the company name. I'll add the third one. Let's say charges. So we'll start labeling it. The invoice ID. The invoice ID, charges. So for any document in your form recognizer applied services, we need to train the five model that is mandate. Afterwards, whenever you upload the data from that storage account, it will automatically populate it. Okay. So I'm done the first invoice. Let's do for the second invoice as well. Invoice ID, then charges, then Company name, done. Invoice ID, your charges same. So after you labeled all the five documents, you can hit the button train. The moment you hit the button train, it will ask you for the model ID. So I'm giving the model ID name as insurance model. And it is asking us which build mode you want to train your model. Whether you want the template model or else whether you want neural model. Okay. So we have to choose the build mode. The build mode I'm choosing is template mode. Just hit the button train. So how much time this is going to check? This is going to take hardly 5 minutes time to train any model. So already we have trained the model, insurance model. You can see the status has succeeded. Once that status is succeeded and you're able to see that the fields, what are fields we have uploaded is invoice ID, company name, and charges. This is the train data. So let's test this model. For testing the model, I'm going to fetch a file for test document. Let's take some of the test document. So I'm going to run the analysis. So automatically the company name is content source suits. Your charges is depicted as well as your company name and invoice ID is also getting for testing that particular model. Okay. So we have done from our accelerator building a use case model. First step, we have done that we created that storage account and we have created a container and we passed that five invoices, and we have created a second resource form recognizer. And in the form recognizer mod, in the form recognizer studio, we started labeling for the five documents and we have tested it. For the second section of this particular session, we will be going to discuss the Azure Cosmos DB. Okay. What is the Azure Cosmos DB usage and how this Azure Cosmos DB is going to be integrated along with your the applied AI services? Okay. So what is the exact usage of this Azure Cosmos DB? The Azure Cosmos DB, it is a globally distributed database where it has multi-model database services. When I say multi-model database services, it has multiple APIs supported like your NoSQL API, your Cassandra, MongoDB, Graph database. Five different multi-model database applications are going to be there in your Azure Cosmos DB. And in under Azure Cosmos DB, we don't have any manual scaling because the automatic scaling is one of the wide feature which is available in your Cosmos DB, and it has high availability feature and low latency feature. When I say low latency feature, if I want to get any responsive application or any application has to respond, how much time it is going to take for any read write operation is 10 milliseconds it is going to take because it is having a low latency feature. And in terms of high availability, it is not going to face any downtime. And how much of SLA is having your Azure Cosmos DB is 99.99% SLA we have in terms of high availability. So these are the quite important features of your Azure Cosmos DB. With this Azure Cosmos DB, what are the model APIs it is supported? When I say model API is supported, it has key value store in terms of table API. In terms of column family, the entire storage is going to be stored as a column family, which is a Cassandra database. Again, it is a NoSQL. And in for a graph format, we will be using the API called as Germline, where we will be dealing with more intern nodes, vertices, edges. And lastly, we have document format, which is your NoSQL DB, a MongoDB, or even SQL can perform it. And it has have 5 levels of consistency, like strong consistency we have, bounded consistency we have something called as eventual consistent, we have stateless consistent. Those 5 levels of consistency levels are present as part of this Cosmos DB. We have two kinds of partitioning. When I say two kinds of partitioning, it could be logical partitioning as well as physical partitioning. Likewise, it has turnkey global distributed distribution is possible using your Azure Cosmos DB. Likewise, it has a lot of benefits and lot of major features are possible using your Azure Cosmos DB. So what we will do for this Azure Cosmos DB demo before we start, the storage format or how the Azure Cosmos DB, the elements are present as part of this Azure as concern is. Under Azure Cosmos DB resource, we will be creating an Azure Cosmos DB account first. From the Azure Cosmos DB account, we will create the second step is one Cosmos DB database. So under the Cosmos DB database, we will be able to create a container, which is nothing but a collection. So inside the container, you may have your own set of inputs that is called as items. All the inputs which are present as part of your Cosmos DB container is called as your items. So this is the storage hierarchy Azure Cosmos DB has. One is your Azure Cosmos DB account. Inside an account, you have a database. Inside the database, you have a container, and inside a container, you have a list of items, which is nothing but the input stored for your Azure Cosmos DB. So we will do one particular demo on how Azure Cosmos DB account has been created, the database has been created, container has been created. Let's do that stuff. So for this, I'm going to use the Cosmos DB account, Azure Cosmos DB service. So we have to create click the button create. So under this, I mentioned multi-model APIs, whether you want Azure Cosmos DB for NoSQL or Postgres or a MongoDB or Cassandra or Table or Germline, what type of your workload you want to choose. We can have that type of options available as part of your Cosmos DB. I'm going to choose Azure Cosmos DB for NoSQL right now. Just hit the button create. Once you are done that, the next step is we have to choose a resource group. So I'm going to choose a resource group retail RG, and we need to provide the Cosmos DB account creation. Let me create the account creations insurance global 1305. This is my account name I'm creating. And what type of capacity mode you want to create. Okay. So as part of the Azure Cosmos DB as concern, we have 1000 RUs and 25 GB RAM storage is initially free for your provisioned throughput. And if you want to do for any serverless related part, you can go for serverless related part. The charges will be more. The incurring charges will be more. So right now I'm going to choose a capacity mode as provisioned throughput. Then hit the button review plus create. So now you have created a Cosmos DB account creation. The validation it will check. Once the validation is succeeded, you can hit the button create. So in a minute or two, this will going to become successful. It will take 2 minutes to become successful. Maybe I'm getting some background noise here.
Hi, Janarthanan. Sorry, you're searching for me?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
I'm
just get away.
getting a background noise.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Muted
Okay.
everyone.
Okay, now the deployment is succeeded for the Azure Cosmos DB account creation. Just if you go to the resource, you may able to see there is a data explorer option available in your left side of the pan. So under the data source explorer, the first step you have to create a database. Okay. You can see there is a button called as data button. So under data button, we are going to create a database. You want to create a database and you can create a container ID and you can choose your partition key. That's how the storage is going to work in terms of your Cosmos DBS concern. Okay. So since we have chosen it as a provisioned throughput as a capacity mode, the first 1000 RUs are free along with the 25 GB RAM storage space. That is your manual scaling. And when you're choosing that option for a serverless computing, it will be incurring, you will be getting the incurring charges as well. So for that, we will be creating a first one as database. Then you will be creating a container ID followed by the partition key. Okay. So as of now, what we have done, we created a storage account and we created a container for the storage account. We have uploaded that invoice documents to the form recognizer where we have started labeled it and we have trained it and we have tested with the help of your template model. So what is our end-to-end use case? What we are going to build right now? This is the end-to-end use case I'm going to build right now. The end-to-end use case of accelerator building. I have named it as accelerator building. So what is the accelerator building or what I'm trying to do for this end-to-end use case implementation is I'm going to automate the invoice processing from the storage account. From storage account, I have given the input to that form recognizer. From form recognizer, we have tested that document. Rather, whatever the document you are trained from the form recognizer, those data I want to store it in the Azure Cosmos DB. And as in whenever the customer is uploading any invoice document under the storage account, which is your container. So from that, your data, I want to be populated that data also in my Cosmos DB. From that, you have to query it and you have to store it. Okay. So that type of accelerator we are going to create. So how will you create such type of accelerator? Okay. So this is one of the end-to-end deployment use case we have taken it. So if you notice that the input file, look at the input file or what type of data source are we getting? So we are taking the multiple invoices. Okay. All the multiple invoice document, we will be creating a container and we will be storing as part of the blob storage. Okay. From the blob storage, we will trigger a blob trigger from the Azure functions that will automatically test the document in your form recognizer tool and use the same blob storage, whatever the data, whenever the customer started ingesting, it is going to be stored that into your Azure Cosmos DB. Again, the data which has been trained in the Azure Form Recognizer Studio via your blob trigger, that data also will be stored under Azure Cosmos DB. And under the Azure Cosmos DB, I have created a database called as invoice database. From the invoice database, we need some container. Under the container, you may able to see the data which has been trained from the Form Recognizer Studio, as well as the data whichever the customer has ingested into the blob storage. The overall Form Recognizer Studio train data as well as your blob storage customer ingested data will be available in the items section. From the item sections, if you want to query it, you can make use of your own query using your Azure Cosmos DB. Again, the overall data will be there in your blob storage as well. If customer wants to derive some of the insights based out of that, they can make use of the Power BI tool to visualize the data, whatever it has been extracted or whatever it has been stored or whatever the data which has been stored from the blob storage, the data which has been stored as well as loaded from the Azure Cosmos DB, as well as the data from the Form Recognizer Studio data will be able to see in the Power BI as part of a dashboard report as concerned. Okay. This particular accelerator we are going to achieve with the help of the APIs available from the Form Recognizer Studio, and API is available from the blob storage account, and the API is available from the function app, that is a serverless computing, and API is available from the Cosmos DB. Okay. So too many APIs has been involved to achieve this accelerator building. So let me walk through the Python code. What are the essential information we require to build such type of accelerator? What type of accelerator are we going to build? We are going to build an invoice accelerator. So for this invoice accelerator, let's see step by step how to do this. So for that, I'm going to explain a Python code for this. So as I mentioned earlier, we need to get that APIs from Form Recognizer. We need to get the APIs for your Cosmos DB. We have to get the APIs for your storage account. We have to get the APIs for your function app as well. So all your APIs has been imported in the import section. Once the API has been imported from the import section, the next piece what we require is from the storage account, we have to take the container information. From the storage account, we need to take the connection string from the storage account. These two essential information is needed from your storage account. Then the next one is you need two more essential information required from the Form Recognizer Studio, which is a Form Recognizer endpoint and the Form Recognizer keys as well. So these two information is required from the Form Recognizer Studio. Along with that, the moment whenever you start training any particular data, you need the model ID. Okay. You remember the model which I trained, that model is called as insurance model. Now the model ID I already trained is called as retail model. So that model ID is also required as part of the form recognizer information is concerned. So three key essential information you require. One is the form recognizer endpoint, form recognizer key, and the form recognizer model ID. So those essential information is required from the form recognizer studio. From the storage account, you need the container name and you need the connection string. So those two key information we require from the storage account. And from the Cosmos DB creation, we need the Cosmos DB endpoint, Cosmos DB key. Those two essential information is required from the Cosmos DB account creation. And via code, we are going to create a Cosmos DB database name, Cosmos DB container we are going to create. From the code, we are going to create a database name as invoice store as a database name of Cosmos DB, and invoice is a Cosmos DB container name. After this essential information, so what we require is we have to, whenever the data already trained from the Azure Form Recognizer Studio, that 5 document data will be available in the Cosmos DB, as well as whenever customer uploaded any test data, that data is also available in your Cosmos DB. So that part will be seen from this particular piece of code. And what type of language I'm going to train this model? I'm going to train all the English related language. So that is I given here. So after this, from my document, I'm going to extract 3 fields only. One is the company name. The second one is the invoice number. The third one is your charges related information. So how many number of documents you have, based upon the documents, you are going to iterate this particular for loop. As well as inside the for loop, I have given some of the basic if else construct as well for your extracting the fields or extracting the fields from your PDF document. Once those results has been extracted, those results will be stored as part of the Cosmos client. And under the Cosmos client, what is the path variable I have specified is my root path variable will be the company name I have specified it. Based upon your need or based upon what type of accelerator you want to build, you can specify that field name here. Afterwards, since your Cosmos DB results will be in the format of JSON document, in order to extract those fields from the PDF document, you want to store it in a JSON, you need that method is called as create underscore item method from the Cosmos DB API as concerned. So this is the overall code, and from this code, we will discuss in detail about this accelerator building. So what is the first step we require? We've done this step already. What is the step we have done? We have taken the invoices from the storage account and we have trained through your form recognizer tool. Okay. And rather than opening every time form recognizer tool, I can trigger it through your Azure function with the help of the blob trigger. So this left side part of the step is done. The again step which is done is called as Azure Cosmos DB account creation is done. So what we do now, I'm going to upload a file to my storage account. From that, it is going to store the data in your Cosmos DB. From the Cosmos DB, we will able to query it. How that is possible? So as of now, if you open the Cosmos DB account, as I told the Cosmos DB account, what are the 2 essential information I have to take from the Cosmos DB account is we need to take the key and we need to take the endpoint. Okay, what type of keys you have to take it in a sense? You have to take the read write key, not read only key, because I'm going to read it. Or else if you want to insert it, we need the right information as well. So that key we have to take. So you have to take the endpoint, you have to take the key information, these 2 essential information from the Cosmos DB account. Then the second one, what we require is from the storage account. Okay, let me take the retail storage account. So from the storage account, you have to take the go to the container. From the containers, you have to submit your connection string followed by the access key information. Okay. So connection string, I have to take it and I have to take the key information as well. So you have to take the key and you have to take the connection string. These two information from the storage account. And the third one is go to the form recognizer resource. From the form recognizer resource, you need the form recognizer key as well as the form recognizer endpoint. So these two information is taken from the form recognizer resource. And from the form recognizer studio, you need, just a second. From the form recognizer studio, you need the model ID. The model which is already generated, the name of the model ID is called as retail model. That retail model is required for your form recognizer studio. Okay. So these are the total 2 to 7 essential information which is requested from your Azure resources. One is your form recognizer resources, form recognizer studio model ID, your Cosmos DB endpoint Cosmos DB key, and your storage account container name and storage account connection string information. So that particular data already have to be trained 5 invoice document, right? Those 5 invoice document is already available in the Cosmos DB account. This is a Cosmos DB account name. The Cosmos DB account name is Retail Cosmos. Under you can able to see your data explorer. From the data explorer window, you can notice invoice store is the database name. The name of the database is invoice store, which is this one. And what is the container name? Inside that we have an invoice. That's the container. And we need the list of items. The list of item is already here. And you can see the list of items. Already we have trained the 5 data which is there in your form recognizer studio, right? Those 5 data like ID, you can see the company name. And if you want to see that in a JSON format, just open it. ID, company name, and charges. These 3 fields we have trained it. So those 3 fields you'll able to see it. And other fields are automatically generated by the Azure Cosmos DB account. So we have 5 data already available. These 5 data already trained from the Azure Cosmos DB account from your Azure Form Recognizer Studio. So for example, whenever user is uploading a document from the storage account, let me upload one more document from the storage account. Go to the storage account. In the storage account, I will upload a document now. Storage account container. Let's upload a document. I'm going to upload invoice number 6. I'll upload it. The document is uploaded now. Afterwards, we have to trigger this. How do you trigger this? With the help of this code, we can trigger this. Python. You put the name of the file. Once this is succeeded, you may be able to see that particular data will be available in your Cosmos DB. Go to the Cosmos DB account. Go to the Retail Cosmos. In the Retail Cosmos Data Explorer, invoice store is your database name, and invoice is a container, and items you can see this. Just be able to see the 6th record. Yes, you can see the invoice document 6. What is the invoice document 6? The records name. The invoice document 6 record name is Consto Suits. The same thing available? Yes. Now let's query it. So we have done this. Go to the query section, new query. So select star from C is your container name. So C dot C where I have some items, right? What are the items I have? Let's filter based upon the company name Microsoft. Okay. Go to that query. Where see that company name is a field equal to Microsoft. Let's execute this. So this will automate our entire process. You can see this. So we have three documents under Microsoft company names. We have ID 458176, and we have 32454 376 ID, and we have one more ID is 332376. So that's how we can automate our entire process. No need to go to that Form Recognizer Studio to do every time testing. Whatever the train document is there, that data is also there. And whenever the customer ingests the data via through the storage account also, you can see that data also will be stored under your Cosmos DB. We can query it. You can do all type of query, all type of query related things. We can do that. Finally, if you want to store those data in your Power BI dashboard also, it is possible to store. You have to use the Power BI, some connectors like data source from blob storage, a data source from CSV file, a data source from the document, a data source from the blob storage. So those type of connectors, if you use it, you may able to visualize the data from your Power BI as well. So that's it about the accelerator building end-to-end use case implementation. Any questions?